This is Voyager, and welcome to our ICW adventure. With roughly 200 miles of ICW left, we were faced with the big Hatteras decision. Well, actually, we had already decided that our boat wasn't ready to go offshore, but Beaufort, North Carolina is where northbound travelers have their last practical exit to the Atlantic and need to commit to either continuing inside or going outside to round Cape Hatteras. Some simply enjoy offshore sailing and find the ICW monotonous. However, there's plenty to see on the inside route, and it has some pretty big water itself. Going inside means you navigate the Neuse River, Pamlico Sound and River, the Pungo River, the Pungo-Alligator River Canal, the Alligator River, the Albemarle Sound, and finally the North River before crossing into Virginia. We would navigate all this over the next 2 days while keeping a sharp eye on some very serious approaching weather that would provide us some challenge. We really liked the Sugarloaf Island anchorage. It offered us great protection from northerly winds and was convenient to quaint Morehead City. The commercial docks were busy, and the harbor had a good number of recreational fishermen out for a Tuesday morning. Once we cleared the commercial docks, we took a course north under the highway bridge, joining Morehead City to Beaufort, and straight up Adams Creek to where it meets the Neuse River. On Phillips Island, we caught a glimpse of a chimney stack from an old Menhaden factory that was abandoned after World War I. As the first stretch of the day's travels came to an end, we found ourselves again in the company of a northbound procession. Ahead lay the big waters of the Neuse River and a cruiser's favorite, Oriental, North Carolina, on the opposite shore. As we rounded the bend, we got to set the sails, shut down the motors for a delightful run down the river to the Pamlico Sound. The engine is off. We're doing 6.3. After our first true sail of the trip, we turned into the Bay River to enter a short canal, which bypasses a lot of the Pamlico Sound. Here you can see a damaged day marker that the Coast Guard had serviced with a temporary buoy. The canal was beautiful with marsh grass and loblolly pines, and as we reached the midway point of the canal, we passed R.E. Mayo Seafood, which we later learned is a neat stop where you can fuel, buy local seafood off the boat, and even tie up for the night. Finally, we reached our anchorage for the evening, Lower Spring Creek, just at the mouth of the Pamlico River near mile marker 152. A big weather system would impact us the next day, and we wanted to be ready to head across the Albemarle Sound early, so we would have more options later in the day if the weather turned against us. The gathering clouds made for a beautiful sunset as we pondered what decisions we might face in the morning. Per the plan, we awoke for our early start across the Pamlico River and hoped to cross the Albemarle Sound as well to put those two big bodies of water behind us before the weather arrived. What we discovered outside the salon in an otherwise beautiful anchorage was a swarm of bugs. We're not sure what they were, but boy was it a mess to clean up. We fired up the engines and made quick work getting across the Pamlico River by motor sail. A downwind angle gave us 5 knots apparent and 6 knots over the ground. We were soon making our way north on the Pungo River. As I've mentioned before, both of us were trying our best to sail and do full-time remote telework, so we really had to hustle along as best we could. As a result, we had to sacrifice yet another stop at a cruiser favorite, Belhaven, just to port. After the sharp turn at Belhaven, it's a pretty direct route to the entrance of the Pungo-Alligator Canal, Yup, another ditch. Check out the watercolor here. The first challenge of the day was the Wilkerson Bridge, one of the most notorious on the entire ICW. We had the benefit of watching a boat ahead of us pass first. We then crept up at less than a knot, and with a mast clearance of 64 feet, it was just enough to squeeze under. Others report less success with broken antenna and other masthead hardware caused by the inaccurate tide boards showing more clearance than there actually is. Once under the bridge, it was easy and uneventful motoring, passing the various mile markers along the way as we closed in on marker 100. The winds were picking up as we exited the canal and entered the Alligator River. Pretty soon we saw the aforementioned marker 100 dead ahead, a big milestone for us heading home. We had put a lot of miles behind us, but were running out of time for a safe crossing of the Albemarle. At the mouth of the river is the Alligator River Bridge. With winds picking up and working to stay close to the boat ahead of us, we radioed ahead to advise that we needed a bridge opening. The operator urged us to press on as they were close to shutting down the bridge due to the 30-knot wind limitations. We fortunately were able to get through, and our friendly neighbor peeled off to port for the Alligator River Marina, and we made a quick decision to seek refuge in the Little Alligator River just ahead. It offered an anchorage called South Shore Landing. It's pretty far back, but it looked ideal for protection from the northwesterlies. And boy did it deliver. We saw winds approaching 30 knots overnight, but we held snug and were quite comfortable on the hook. But before the falling temperatures and whistling of the winds ushered in a deep sleep, we retreated to perhaps the best sunset of the entire trip.